Have you ever noticed that the moments that you struggle to hear God the most are often the moments that you don't want him to say something uncomfortable, right? We don't always lose the clarity of hearing God's voice because God is silent. Sometimes we lose that clarity because our pride is just so loud, right? Mark chapter 4, verse 24 says, "Take heed what you hear. With the same measure you use, it will be measured to you." And so when Jesus says, take heed what you hear, he's not warning us about the volume of what we're hearing. He's warning us about our heart, right? The posture of our heart. Because hearing God requires a heart that's willing to receive truth, even when it confronts or corrects or challenges us, right? And humility is that good soil, where true revelation can actually grow. And a proud heart filters out God's voice, right? A defensive heart will actually resist God's voice, and a fearful heart will actually avoid God's voice altogether because we don't want to hear what he's got to say, right? Even though we say that we do. But a humble heart says, Lord, speak, even if it requires something of me, even if it's uncomfortable, right? And Jesus tells us that the measure that we use, our openness, our humility, our willingness determines the measure of revelation that we actually get to receive, right? So in other words, God speaks most clearly to the heart that is the most surrendered. So humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. So it means creating less resistance by being willing to bend to God's will and his desire for us, right? It means letting God be right even when it's uncomfortable. So it means letting the word cut or heal or shape or lead us without adding our own opinions or contributions to God's way, right? And so Jesus is inviting us to recognize that hearing is not just spiritual, but it's also relational. And something to remember is that relationships thrive where humility lives, and a humble heart hears God, right? Whereas a proud heart only hears itself, right? So here's something to think about. Where has pride or fear or self-protection been shaping what you're willing to hear? And how is God inviting you into humility again, right? I pray that we can all find that humble heart that actually hears God's voice, and remember that it's not our will be done, it's his will be done, right? Until next time, guys, God bless.